Heyo, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about making God a part of my everyday life because I feel like this is something that I've thought about before, stressed about before, of like what that needs to look like and how to make sure that I'm doing it right, because I want him to be part of every moment. I want to be inviting him in. I want to feel like he's present with me throughout the day, but a lot of times having that goal ended up making me feel very guilty for the ways that I fell short, because I guess in my head I kind of felt like that meant God needed to be in the conscious part of my brain throughout the day, and I needed to be thinking about him and like praying every moment. And I feel so bad for all the times that I would get distracted and like do other things and not particularly think about him. And so this is just to be an encouragement to my younger self and also to anyone else who might feel like that it just seems so overwhelmingly impossible to make God a part of my life. I think we all know we're not supposed to compartmentalize. It shouldn't just be go to church on Sunday, do whatever you want the rest of the week, have your 30 minutes of quiet time, and then do whatever you want the rest of the day and never think about God again. It should be this ebb and flow, like this constant communion with him. His presence, it lives within us. He's right here. He came so that we could have a relationship with him. And so I want to be taking advantage of that. I want to know what that looks like in John 15, where he talks about the vine and the branches and like abide in me. My version says remain in my love. And like, what does it look like to remain in God's love? And a lot of these thoughts come from days that I've spent by myself at home. And I think I've mentioned before, that really stresses me out. And I used to not do so hot when I had to be by myself all day. I feel like I would always get to this point in the afternoon where I'm like, my brain and my heart just feel so dead. And like, I sort of know that I need Jesus, but also like, it seems too late to pursue that. Like, I don't know what to do at this point. Like, I feel like anything that I can do will just make it worse and shut me down because it won't immediately be helpful. And I'll just be like, oh my gosh, there's no hope left for me. And so a lot of times I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna live till I can go to bed and wake up tomorrow in a better mood and try again. And I really wanted to try to be more proactive throughout the day of like inviting God in, being aware of his presence so that I don't get to that dead point of like, I'm so lonely and I have not talked to anyone today and I don't know what to do and my brain is going in circles, where it does seem like it will take this monumental effort to draw me out of that. Not to say that he couldn't do the miraculous and do that for me, like he definitely has before, but I'm like, what are the steps that I can take to not get to that point? And so that's kind of like my motivation for trying to have him be a part of my everyday life. But again, I feel like that turned into this guiltiness of like, okay, I can spend my quiet time and maybe I should listen to worship music all day long, and maybe I should listen to theological podcasts and read theological books and like do these things that like constantly keep God in my brain. And yet that didn't really work either. And several hours later, I'm like, I'm so tired of this. Like, I don't really want to be doing this anymore, but then I feel bad because this seems like the nice Christian thing to do, and like optimally we would all spend our lives just learning theology about God. But I don't know, I've just sort of come to realize that that's not the only way to be intentionally spending time with God. And I feel like that's the most Christian thing to do, and like that's the thing that I should be trying to make time for and trying to spend billions of hours in prayer every day and all these things. And that like having to do the dishes or needing to go to work or having to change my baby's diaper, those are the interruptions that ruin it. And God's like, ugh, just sitting there until I can come back. When really, I think it's so clear that he created life for us to live, and he intends to meet us in all of the mundane moments as well as the sacred moments. It's so interesting how like sacred and secular combine. Nothing is outside of the reach of God's Holy Spirit to be there and sanctify it and make it a beautiful moment with him. And I think that's his plan. It's not that doing anything other than reading my Bible all day is less and that God is disappointed in me for not being strong enough to just enjoy reading my Bible for 12 hours. He wants me to move through my life with him and learn how he's here in every single moment and every single thing that I'm doing. And it kind of makes me think of things that I've learned in relationships with people. Like my best friend, we love to talk to each other. Tasha and I could talk for a long time, but like we can't talk forever. For the relationship to function, like there have to be moments where we can just sit there and enjoy each other's presence and like each read a book next to each other on the couch. That's good. And that's building the relationship, and in fact might be doing it better than just trying to continue to talk for the sake of talking because we think that that's what a relationship means. I need to be able to enjoy doing things with her, laughing together about nothing, just going on a walk together and being quiet, reading a book, baking together. Like all these random things, they don't really seem like they're adding to the relationship, are building the context of that friendship. And actually all of those woven together is better than just sitting there and trying to just talk, relate, connect. Because at some point, like, you're just run dry. That's not going to be sustainable. And that's something that I had to learn a lot when I was younger. I really value deep connections with people. I long for interesting, vulnerable, spiritual conversations. And it frustrated me that I felt like that didn't really happen very often in my friend group. And my friends often just wanted to goof around. We would meet together on Sundays and try to like talk to each other and share what's going on in our lives, study the Bible. And people were like, I want intentional time to just talk and be goofy. Like, I don't want it to all be like this serious, heavy thing thing. And I was like, why would you do that? You're not a good Christian. We need to sit here and talk about God the whole time. Why would we be goofy together? Like, what the heck? And I've just had to realize it's not that people are any less spiritual. I mean, yes, we need to learn how to have deep conversations with each other, but it's not that people are falling short of some kind of spiritual maturity if they don't have the capacity to talk about deep, vulnerable, emotional things all the time. That's not attainable for anybody. That's not attainable for me. I've come to realize, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I do enjoy just kind of like goofing off and having the laid back, just hangout time where nothing important is being said, but we're spending time with each other is what helps facilitate and make more precious and sweet and actually more vulnerable the deeper conversations that then leads into. And I used to hate small talk and be like, why would you ever have small talk? Like, why don't we just like get straight to the point? Like, small talk is a waste of time. But I've come to realize like you kind of need that. You kind of need to build that context and figure out who this person is and have a safe space and just like learn random things and talk about random things with each other, as well as just the deep stuff. I wouldn't feel like I had a relationship with someone if all that we talked about was deep, heavy stuff all the time. It seems counterintuitive, but I know that that's just not really the way relationships in real life actually work. And I had that standard in my head, but as time has gone on, I've realized like that's pretty unrealistic, and that's not actually the most conducive to having a relationship. You have to know them in the broader context and talk about a variety of things and do things together. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about in my relationship with God. I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like, oh, the right thing to do and the thing that's actually building our relationship is when I'm reading my Bible and listening to podcasts and like learning stuff, but I don't have the capacity to do that all day. I realize that. And I also need to realize that I don't have to feel guilty for that. And I think God has been calling me to do other things. Like, He wants to show me that He can meet me in a billion other ways. I have such a narrow laser focus, a few little things in my category of what it means to connect with God. And He wants to show me that He's here in literally everything. And those times where I'm like, man, I'm so tired of listening to podcasts. I just want to like go take a walk. I think that's the Holy Spirit prompting me of like, that's okay that that's what you need. I'm there outside too. You can see my creation, experience me without words, learn something just through observation rather than a lesson being put into your brain. You can worship me and experience me by doing that, or by wanting to work on your book instead, or wanting to listen to music. There are all these ways that He wants to meet me, and I feel like I'm the one limiting our relationship by being like, no, these are the God things and these are the other things, and I need to do the holy spiritual set apart things in order to connect with God, when He's trying to say, no, I'm here everywhere. I am in everything. And you're going to learn so much more about me by learning to experience me in all of these other ways and all these other contexts. You're going to see how great I am to infiltrate every point of your existence. And that there are all these ways to spend time with me, all of these ways to talk to me. And I just think it's so precious that He is like that. I had a second half of my thought, but I think that I've talked for a long time, so I'm probably just going to do that next week. But yeah, He is with me all the time, and having an awareness of God and building that relationship with Him is through all of the small moments as well as the deep moments. It's everything. He is in everything. He's pursuing me in 100 ways that I don't even notice half the time. And so I just wanted to encourage you that making God a part of your everyday means making Him a part of your everyday life. And just because He's not consciously in the forefront of your brain all of the time doesn't mean that you haven't invited Him in, that He's not doing life with you, right alongside you. I just want to tell Him that at the beginning of the day, like, God, I invite you into my day, and then see how He chooses to reveal Himself, and that ebb and flow of consciousness of Him, constantly bringing my heart back to Him after experiencing these other things with Him. Hopefully that kind of made sense. And yeah, tell you the rest of it later. Thank you for watching, and goodbye until more interesting things happen.